All right, it's time to talk about the UFC on Fox, number 6. This was 6, right? Yes. Dodson versus Johnson. Did not get to watch the full card until this morning, so you're getting a little bit of a late breakdown, and I do have some things to say, so I am bringing you a breakdown that sometimes I, don't do when I just don't feel I have anything interesting to say to add to this. David Mitchell, Simeon Thorson. Didn't see the first 2 rounds of this fight. Really disappointed I didn't pick Mitchell because I was going to. People were really crapping on him, and I listened to the people. That's my fault. Half Hours Hall beat Sean Spencer. A pretty decent debut for Sean Spencer. We'll see him again, and probably at 170, his natural weight class. He came up in weight to do a late notice fight replacement. Traditionally, Dana White does honor, at least giving a guy a second chance. Mind you, Josh Janasek didn't, so there you go. What else to say about this fight? Natal was just bigger, more talented on the ground. His power, Spencer's power, didn't seem to trouble Natal at all, which was a problem. But Spencer did show, some decent head movement, decent footwork. The hallmarks of, let's see what he does at his own actual weight class, and we might have something here. Not a champion or anything, but something. Sean Jordan, Mike Russo, disappointing because Mike Russo looked so good in the first round. His boxing looked crisp for a heavyweight. It was pretty quick. He was aggressive. He wasn't troubled by Jordan's power until he started getting tired. And I guess this is basically the question with Mike Russo. If he was a full-time fighter, where's the ceiling? Because he's not a full-time fighter. He's a full-time police officer, part-time fighter. Vladimir Matyushenko, Ryan Bader. Not much to say other than, Bader's got power. Bader can brute force submissions. His stand-up looked a little better. Defensively, particularly, it looks like he is learning, and I guess that's all you can ask for, but still very much a work in progress with his stand-up. Very much. Pascal Krause, Mike Stump. Pascal Krause put on a very nice clinic of stand-up work. I was a little disappointed that he couldn't do more with Stump in the wrestling department in that early section of the fight until, he started really wearing down Mike Stump. Stump will get cut off of this probably. This is not really. He just doesn't seem to be UFC material. And Pascal Krause really needs to get a big name on under his belt because I think he's a very talented fighter. But people look at his resume and they're like, he beat Mark Scanlon, who hasn't fought since, and Mike Stump for wins and lost to John Hathaway. So not an impressive resume. Clay Guida Hatsuhioki. Screw the judge that scored this 30-27 for Guida. I don't understand how you win that first round off of 1 minute and 3 seconds of top control in which you were threatened with submissions from a Kimura and a triangle choke and almost had your back taken, and you got outstruck something like 16-8 on the feet and managed no offense from top. No, that's not a round win. It's not. I don't really necessarily have a problem with Guida winning this fight because I think the third round he did win. And the second round was close enough that, I understand that, judges are going to sometimes be swayed by a flash of Guida going, I'm not hitting you, but it looks good. Oh, yeah. And takedowns. I get that. I understand that. But that first round, the hell? Judges. Well, judge. The guy who scored at 29-28, Hioki. I probably agree with him the most, but I can see the third judge's point of view. TJ Grant, Matt Wyman. Impressive display of Grant's power, because, of course, Wyman hasn't been stopped since Spencer Fisher flying kneed him. And that was a long time ago, and it was a flying knee. That's kind of all I have to say on that. For Grant, he's shown power, something he hasn't particularly shown before. Like really big power. Like he's stumbled people, he's dropped people, he does hit hard. This is the first time where I've really gone, this guy can knock some people out and really do some damage. It's time to really get him in the title mix. I thought the Evan Dunham fight was going to springboard him into that, but then they kind of went from Dunham to a step down to Matt Wyman. I was a little confused why people were going so heavily on Wyman in this one. They're like, he's a better wrestler. I'm like, get taken down by Paul Sass. So, no. And Manny Gambiria. So, no. Yeah, no. I didn't really understand that one. I thought it was going to be a good fight. I thought it was going to be close enough. Wyman's a tough guy. I thought that maybe he'd catch him with something. But in the end, I don't really understand these people who thought this was an easy fight for Wyman, which a lot of people seem to be leaning that way. It's a bit weird. Ricardo Lamas probably earned himself a title shot with stoppage of Eric Koch. Koch did look a little ring rusty. I thought he didn't look quite as good as he usually does. But let's not take it away from Lamas, who clearly has been working on his stand-up. And it's getting better and better and better. Not good enough to take Aldo. In a fight with Frankie Edgar, his historical inability to actually beat wrestlers probably comes into play at that point. And if you know what I mean, go watch Danny Castillo versus Ricardo Lamas. Yeah. So, kudos for Lamas, who's improved, kept improving. And I really liked him back when he fought Bart Palashevsky in the WEC. I mean, that was my first one. I was like, you know what? I really like Ricardo Lamas. Call me the bandwagon jumper at that point. Boom! I'm on the bandwagon. And I haven't gotten off of it, despite the losses to Alcantara and Castillo in the WEC. But he seems to have rectified a lot of the problems that particularly caught him in the Alcantara fight. Although a rematch would be the only way to really settle that. But Alcantara seems to be fighting 135 now. Yeah, but being Eric Koch, something that a lot of people didn't really think he was going to do, and people will make excuses about this, but I thought he did a fantastic job. Anthony Pettis probably also earned himself a title shot with a stoppage of Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Not much to say other than he came out there, he looked really good, he hit him with some very good shots, put him down, put him out. Congratulations, Anthony Pettis, for really probably proving you are probably the best striker in the 155 division. I don't think that's going overboard on the matter. I really don't. And he's a guy with ground game. He's a guy with some counter wrestling. We will see if he can do something, if he can beat Ben Henderson again, or if he can beat Gilbert Melendez, depending on the result of that fight. So, interesting times ahead for Anthony Pettis. Clover Teixeira, Rampage Jackson, a bit painful to watch that third round, to see Rampage just throwing the same really sloppy combination, and the problem is that's actually almost what it looked like, but faster. Clearly gassed out. I don't know so much from conditioning as much as taking a lot of good shots and Glover putting a good pace on him, making him work the whole time. He connected with Glover's chin, and Glover didn't seem to mind it. So, Glover seems to be very much the coming man. Maybe a fight with Shogun makes a lot of sense to get one of them kind of back in that, or to either get Shogun back in the title mix by beating Glover, or to have Glover, have that big name on his resume. Because as much as Rampage, is a big name. His recent performances against the likes of Bader have taken him down as that you beat Rampage, you're a contender thing. That status. So hopefully Glover gets a big name fight next, and he wins it, because when it comes down to it, I think he can beat John Jones now. Do I find that fight more interesting than a rematch with a Machida, or a rematch with a Shogun, particularly the Shogun rematch, or even fights with Chael Sonnen and Dan Henderson? I find it more interesting. I think the chances are better for an upset, but that's just me. John Dodson, Demetrius Johnson. Demetrius Johnson, doing his thing, fast, pushes the pace on you, keeps the pressure on. I would like it if he finished some people, though. I really would. I think that would do the flyweight division immeasurable good for him to go in there and actually start finishing some people. When it comes down to it, though, he is a hard guy to figure out how to beat. E. McCall seemed to have it figured out the first time they fought, but the second time couldn't really replicate it. I thought that Joe Benavidez had a lot of the tools to do it, but he couldn't do it. And we're probably going to see a rematch with one of those two guys, because we have McCall fighting Benavidez, and the winner will probably get a title shot. And there's still the two most interesting people to have in the fight. John Dodson with better cardio, maybe. I also thought that Dodson being a little too counter happy in this fight. I thought he needed to be a bit more aggressive. He needed to make Johnson back up a bit more than he did. And unfortunately, by the end of the fight, he was too worn out to really do anything. But a good fight. I enjoy the flyweight fights. A lot of people don't. So take that with a grain of salt. Anyways, those are my thoughts. Hope you enjoy.